Uh-oh. All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Darrin 1831 Collins, and this here is Zola Collins. Say hi. Say hi. And we're going to read you our book this evening. It's called No Mountain High Enough, Dr. Zola and Daddy Explore Ear Infections. The book is available on collinscubicle.com. Move, Yogi. Sorry about that. The book is available on collinscubicle.com. You can shop there. It is the second book of our series, the No Mountain High Enough series. The first book is called No Mountain High Enough, Zola and Daddy Daughter Dates. All right. And you also can buy my novel, Native Invisibility, all available on collinscubicle.com. You ready? All right. So this book and all the books that I've written as an author are intended to contribute to like a healthy Black esteem and just making sure that foundational Black Americans have that healthy esteem and awareness of who we are and where we come from. And this book is in line with that because it's giving my daughter that understanding of where she comes from. And it's a story about her as a child or her in her youth and growing up. That's the sound of the lion, by the way. All right. So in this book, we explore, that's the sound of the elephant. The lion? Rawr. Elephant? That's the sound of the elephant. She's also eating dinner. It's dinner time. We're going to take a nap shortly. But this second book is about Zola had ear infections last year during last winter. And it gives a lot of scientific information for parents and for children about what causes ear infections and some natural ways to respond to ear infections. And our question for today, so I'm a teacher and I naturally have questions related to the work that I do. Our question for the day for anybody watching, why do children and babies get ear infections more often than adults? All right, so while adults rarely get those ear infections. So I want you guys to think about that. Why do adults rarely get them? Why do children get them more often? All right. You done eating? You sure? Daddy's gonna take it. Thank you. All right. So, without further ado, so this first page is our introduction, and it says, to our ancestors, at times like these, we need your infinite intelligence. I pray for your guidance as a Black man, Black father, and Black writer. I think that is very pertinent for what's going on in today. Hello, my name is Zola, and I want to tell you a story about my daddy and me. Last night, I was so tired, but I could not fall asleep. My nose was runny, and my daddy told me I had a fever, whatever that means. My ear hurt so badly every time I lay down. I felt like I was going to explode. I was sick. I cried and cried, but my daddy took care of me. Ain't that right, Zoe? My daddy works wonders. It seems like he knows everything. If he doesn't know the answer, he will look it up. My daddy always says, if you know how to read, you can learn anything. Last night, when I was sick, he grabbed a book from the bookcase. Yes? Gotcha, baby. He grabbed a book from the bookcase. He flipped open the pages and searched and searched. Then he found it. My daddy ran to the kitchen and grabbed a lemon and some bottles. He cut the lemon in half and came back into my room. I stopped crying for a moment to give my daddy the face. You know the face. The one that asks, what are you doing with that lemon in those bottles? There you go. Just trust me, Zola, my daddy said as he picked me up out of my crib. I needed his hug. I was so tired. I thought my nose was going to fall off and my ear was going to explode. I was irritated, but I trusted my daddy. I was still curious about the lemon. Daddy, I asked. You know I trust you, right? He nodded. But why do you have a lemon and those bottles? Got that yogurt. My daddy put me down, and I knew he was about to get into what I like to call professor mode. Suddenly, we were in his laboratory. Several computer screens covered the walls, and 3D printers were making sample water filters. Daddy had everything you think of in his lab. He even had robots that looked like humans. My daddy is a renaissance man. He is a martial artist, a scientist, and a writer. If it can be learned, my daddy will do it the best. I love my daddy. And your daddy loves you too, girl. You want some more yogurt? No? Well, Dr. Zola, my daddy said, he calls me that when we are in his lab. It makes me feel like a real scientist. You appear to have an ear infection. Daddy looked into my ear with his otoscope. It was cold. And we want to avoid using antibiotics. And we want to avoid using antibiotics as a first course of action. What are antibiotics? I struggled to get the word to fit into my mouth. It was too big. What are they? What are they? You can say it, Dr. Zola, my daddy said supportively. Antibiotics. We slowly repeated the word 3 times. Then I said it on my own. My daddy is so patient. What up, Zola? You want to turn the page for daddy? Thank you. Let's explore your ear infection, Doctor. Let's explore your ear infection, Dr. Zola, my daddy said with a laugh. I love it when we explore. My daddy always says he learns from me too. That makes me feel good. Daddy gave me virtual reality glasses, and then we were inside an ear. It was my ear. I could tell because it tickled. Do you see how your ear is red and filled with fluid? Hey, baby. Dr. Zola, Daddy asked. I nodded. It's not supposed to be that way. But before I tell you how we will fix it, you should know why we aren't going to use antibiotics. So this is promoting natural remedies to health issues. So as I said, this book has a little bit more text as well, right? Antibiotics help doctors cure a lot of dangerous diseases, but your ear infection isn't dangerous, my daddy said with a smile. But it feels dangerous, I pouted. My ear really hurt, and I wanted my daddy to buy me another one. The prefix anti means against, and the suffix bio means living, Daddy said. What do you think that means when you put it together? Antibiotic. Against living, I said slowly before trailing off. I thought for a few seconds before continuing. It gets rid of living things. I was excited to put the meanings together. Exactly, Zola. Your body is building a defense to the living things that cause sickness. So we don't want things like antibiotics stopping your body's defenses. In really bad situations, kids can become allergic to the antibiotics too. So you also see on some of these that there's like a magic school bus type feel. That's kind of what I was going for with this book. Ain't that right, Zola? What are those living things, Daddy? Did they cause my ear infection? What are the antibiotics getting rid of? I had a ton of questions now. Because you are young, your ears are different from mine, Daddy said. Using a shovel to dig the earwax, that's the elephant, baby, to dig the earwax from around the swollen red thing he called an eardrum. We were just in the outer ear. Behind the eardrum is your inner ear. Make sense? I nodded. It made a lot of sense. It took work to get around the eardrum because it was huge and took up a lot of space. Plus, I had some earwax buildup. The inner ear is made up of this tube called the eustachian tube. Can you say that? Eustachian tube. We said it 3 times together, and then I said it on my own. So in this picture, you see daddy and daughter spelunking down the inner ear. Your inner ear is very different from mine because I am older and my head is really big, Daddy said. I laughed because my daddy's head is really big. My inner ear, just like that. My inner ear is slanted down. Yours is horizontal. So it can get backed up with fluid. I nodded and thought about what he said. Yeah, I was about to hear some drums. Where does the fluid come from, Daddy? I asked. I was curious. Every time I learned something new, I had many more questions. Do you see your nose? My daddy asked as he wiped my face with a wet towel. I hate when he does that. When your nose is backed up, it affects your inner ear because your throat, inner ear, and nose are all connected. It is easy for living things called bacteria to get into your inner ear and infect your eardrum. It was all starting to make sense. What up, baby? What are we forgetting, Dr. Zola? I thought about it. I don't know, Dr. Daddy, I said, mocking him. He really is a doctor. The lemon. Why did I get the lemon? Because you wanted to see my sour face. My daddy loves giving me nasty food and seeing the faces I make, but all I ever want is French fries. No, because of the natural powers of the lemon. Lemons taste sour because they are full of citric acid. The lemon juice will help naturally heal your ear because it gets rid of the bacteria just like the antibiotic. That Zola's in the background. But it does so by changing pH. We'll get to that another time. Thank you. What are the bottles for? You grab the lemon and the bottles. The bottles the bottles are probiotics. The prefix pro means to take care of. And what does the suffix bio mean? Daddy asked me, just to make sure I was learning. He is a good teacher. I took a second to think. Sorry, now she's calling people. I took a second to think. I had learned so much about my ear. Living, I said excitedly, it means living. So probiotic means taking care of living things. The probiotics are substances that help your body get rid of the bad bacteria. Remember, we are trying to get rid of the bad bacteria, you see? I trusted my daddy. He did his research and he understood what was going on. So now we're showing parents and children what happens if you have to take antibiotics, but also if it goes a little further. I do trust you, Daddy, but what happens if it doesn't work? What if the lemon juice and probiotics don't make me feel better? Then, sweetie, we will need to try the antibiotics. And if the antibiotics don't work, we might need to place tubes in your inner ear, in your eardrum. Daddy grabbed my hand and we walked back to the outer ear. It was a tight squeeze. Daddy grabbed a small plastic pipe and a little scalpel. Since your inner ear is horizontal and filled with fluid, we would need to drain it on the reg, Daddy said with a wink. He tries to be cool sometimes. That's why you use the tube, I said joyfully. The tube takes the bad bacteria and fluid out of the inner ear and flushes it into the outer ear and then outside. I had put it all together. My daddy was proud of me too. Exactly, Dr. Zola. Thank you, baby. Give us 1 second. We almost done. My daddy grabbed me and returned me to my bed. He took off his lab coat and goggles. We were Daddy and Zola once more. Daddy took the lemon and squeezed lemon juice into my ear. It was cold and smelled strong. Come on, baby. Get up. It was cold and smelled strong. I had to sit for what seemed like forever, with the juice making noise in my ear. Then Daddy placed a warm towel on my ear and helped me roll over. My ear was already feeling better. Finally, roll it over, put it in the bed. My ear was already feeling better. Finally, Daddy gave me a spoonful of probiotic powder and read me a chapter of his novel, Native Invisibility, as I fell asleep. As I slept, I dreamt of our next date. We were climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania, studying the local languages. I can't wait until our next adventure. All right. And just to wrap it up, so that was the end. Just to wrap it up, going back to our question, why do children and babies get ear infections while adults rarely do? The reason for that, and you see Zola is actively reading our other book, Daddy-Daughter Dates. So the reason why children and babies get ear infections is because their inner ear, or that right, let them know. The inner ear or eustachian tube is horizontal, and in adults, it's slanted down so that it drains naturally. So when children sleep, it can get backed up a little bit more readily than adults. All right. So thank you guys very much. And once again, you guys can buy all 3 of my books at collegecubicle.com. That is the one I just read, Dr. Zola and Daddy Explore Ear Infections. Zola's Daddy-Daughter Dates in the No Mountain High Enough series. And then Native Invisibility, which is my novel, which takes place in Chicago and is very pertinent to now. Come here, Zola. Say bye. Say bye. Bye, Lucas. Bye, y'all.